여보세요.
It's not that kind of podcast.
Oh no? Okay, sorry. Sorry about that.
Okay, well, hello everybody.
Hey everyone.
And welcome back to the Black Sisters Sekai podcast.
Can we do that again? I accidentally gulped in the mic. I realized
I didn't hear it. It's fine.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, well then, starting us off strong. If you guys are watching, then you know that we have changed our little setup a little bit. We decided we want to let you guys into our actual Sekai because our last setup was kind of like bland.
It was bland. It was boring. I was not feeling it.
Yeah, Neema was not into it. So we decided why not actually let you guys into our Sekai. So welcome to our apartment.
Welcome.
Hey. Today we're going to be talking about a topic that Neema's giggling for because she knows that it pertains to you.
Yes.
In particular.
Yes.
Today we're going to be talking about how not everyone gets into Bunka.
Yeah.
So if you guys didn't know, do you want to preface it? Do you want to give the background?
You know, I already told SENA, I'm not ready to talk about this because I feel like I haven't thought about it enough.
Yeah.
But
you buried it in the closet.
I buried it in the closet and just laughed and walked away. But yeah, the point is that in February I applied to like their second entry so not like what everyone thinks of Bunka, like not the college but the university,
right?
Which is basically still kind of the same thing.
It's the same campus, but like the programs are different. So I went to the college, technically fashion college, which in Japanese is the Semongako, and I was there for 3 years, and my program gave me a diploma.
Right.
But if you went to the university, you would go for 4 years and you would get a degree.
Right. And it's kind of basically the same thing. It just, I guess, depends on what you want to do afterwards. I guess like university technically does give you more like job opportunities.
Yes, it does. It lets you do a lot more.
Right. Than a Seimongaku degree would. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. The point is that I applied in beginning of this year in January. February. And it was their last entry. So like they were a lot more like kibishi, a lot more strict on like the kind of people they were looking for because you're just filling in the last slots and we actually might not need you is like the vibe that it is.
Yeah.
And I didn't get in. Now we'll dive into the details of all of that.
Yes.
But I'll let you take it away so I can kind of
I'm just going to interview you because I think this is a thing. The reason why we wanted to talk about this or why I was like very insistent on talking about this is because obviously on my channel I talk a lot about Bunka. I talk a lot about, you know, my experience there and everything.
Yeah.
But we were joking about this earlier. Like the reason why we want to make this video is so that people can also know why me and you are both like done with Bunka.
Oh yes, exactly. Yes.
Like I love Bunka to bits and pieces and I wouldn't trade my experience for the world. But if you guys didn't know, right now I'm studying at a completely different school and that's for a reason.
Right.
And I don't want to make this about me today. I want to talk about Neema's experience, but like, yeah, I want to ask you a few questions because I want to know what that was like. Because I think people don't realize that you can not get accepted to Bunka.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you shouldn't try. It doesn't mean that you should give up before you even start. It just means like be realistic about your expectations, right?
Right. And I do feel like I see a lot of content about people in Korea being like, why Korea wasn't it, or why I left Korea, or why like Korea just wasn't all that I thought it was. But I feel like there's very little about Japan. It's very like anime, yay,
yeah,
Shibuya,
because people love to romanticize their lives here.
Yeah, they really do.
And I feel like nobody talks about like the real struggles that people go through and like the things that.
And it's good to be optimistic. It's good to strive, but it's like at the same time be realistic.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Yeah.
So, okay, first question I want to ask you is when did you find out that you did not get accepted?
Honestly, I had a feeling like my interview was like significantly like shorter than the rest. So like we were split into like groups, I guess, and like depending on like the gakubu that you're applying to, what's gakubu department that you're applying to, like you went into separate rooms and like so there was like we were split into two groups, and so 3 people were like on the other side applying for I think architecture, and then there was me and these two other people applying to the
styling program,
styling-ish.
It was like international something.
Kokusai Fashion Gakka, something like that. So international fashion,
right.
And so so I remember like I was the last one to go in and meet, and like the timing was the same because it's 15 minutes each, right?
Okay.
So when I went in, like me and this other person, we went in at the same time. When I left, this person was still doing their interview in the other room, and it was so fast. It was like 5 minutes.
You mean they told you like, oh thanks, you're good, like bye bye?
Yeah, like it was so short. Like
and the other 2 people stayed?
And the other person was still like they're still mid interview going like Do you know what I mean? Like I left and they were still like yapping in the room. Yeah. And then I knew from then, I was like, oh shit.
So, but what happened? Like, what is it that they asked you that? Like,
so they asked me the typicals. I mean, my Japanese language school, which I highly recommend you guys like consider when going through the whole like process, because they really, really do prepare you. Like I was so anxious, extremely anxious. Honestly, I think that's part of the reason why I didn't get in, because one of my teachers, like she actually helped me like practice. Actually, two of them did like practice interview, which I really needed. And they were telling me, this is what you're going to have to talk about. Like, so I had to talk about what is it? Like why I want to get into the school, and list specifically why, like, and like try to match it with the school's like raison d'être. What do you say? What do you call it?
Like the things that they provide. It's not actually the real meaning of raison d'être, but you know what I mean.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Like the stuff that they provide. Why is it that you want to come here? What's so special about this school for you?
Why I wanted to become a stylist in particular. Why the specific like gakubu. Why bunka. Like they had like all of these questions. Right. And I mean, normal for any other interview, but I had the extra layer of it being in Japanese.
And do you remember that you and I sat in my room and we tried to go over the questions?
God, I was literally in turmoil. Let me tell you, I've never been so anxious in my life.
Yeah, I was like shocked, because I remember you were kind of breaking down and I could see it, and I was like, okay, dude, like done. Yeah, you were really done, and like you were just not feeling it. And that to me too was also partially like an indicator that maybe this wasn't it for you, because the truth is like that feeling of turmoil that you get of like the language barrier being a struggle is something that never goes away. Like even once you do get accepted to Bunka, like every time that you guys will be like taking notes, like your Japanese classmates will be like taking notes like super you know, without a problem, like super efficiently, and then you'll be struggling being like, how do you even write, like what's the stroke order for this kanji, you know? Like you'll be a completely different like levels, you know? So
and it's not to say that it's impossible. It's just the things that nobody talks about you being like in a 100% Japanese environment, you know? But what was the question? Sorry.
No, I asked you a question of when did you find out, but I think you started aptly like with the interview process. I think that's the right place to start.
I knew that day that I didn't get in.
Really?
Yeah, like I left and I was so crushed, and like nothing went well. Like it was just like, okay, so you asked specifically concretely what is it that made me feel that way? Right. So in the interview room, it was like there's all these rules, first of all, that you have to know, like entering an interview room in like a Japanese culture. So I was like trying not to mess that up. Like you have to knock, they say like haite kudasai, right? And then I close it, then I have to bow like shiteshimasu, and then go in front of the chair, not sit down until they tell me, say my number, say my name, they kakunin, like they confirm that it's just matching, and like, okay, you can sit down now, and then I like sit down and shiteshimasu.
And people don't know that, because the truth is like like I think in a lot of other countries, like if you're having an interview, you literally just like walk into the room. Hey, how's it going? You having a good day, everybody?
Yeah,
just sit down
chill.
On the chair,
it's chill vibes.
It's like a conversation between friends, whatever. But like this is so particular. And if you skip any steps, or if you like kind of just waltz in and just sit down and do whatever, like they really look at you as like, oh, you don't understand Japanese culture, especially as a foreigner. Like you have to prove that like you understand Japanese culture, and you're not just going to be one of those like reckless students who comes from abroad to like give the middle finger to everybody in Japan.
Exactly.
And, like, not care about
and
their
there
culture.
already is that stereotype.
Exactly.
So it's like that was added pressure. And then on top of that, I remember when I practiced with my teacher, and I did this exactly. She was like, when you're sitting, you don't want to look like you're just like you don't really care. So you need to like layer your hands. When I'm talking, you can't move them. She's like, don't move them too much. Keep them right in the middle. And I was like, I appreciate you and I love you, but at the same time, this is a lot for me. Like I talk with my hands. You know?
Me too.
So I was just like, and that's also making me think like really like komakaku, like every action.
Every
and I was like,
thing,
girl,
right?
this is. So I remember that was distracting me in and of itself. So the minute I sat down, I was like, girl, don't move your hands. They're like, so what do you want to do? I was like, what? Where? And so get this. So the first time they asked me like, oh, like, shiboriu wa nan desu ka, right?
Why do you want to go to
Why do you want to go to the school? And literally, I kid you not, like I avoided, because I was trying to, there was a word for like this school. I don't know what it is. What is it? My teacher taught it to me. She was like, use like, instead of like repeating the name of the school, like Bunka Daigaku, what is it again? Bunka Daigaku Gakuen. Yeah. Like instead of repeating that every single time, just say like the this short school, word. Right. So it's like
I'm forgetting it now that you're saying
something. Like, it's not anyways, so I couldn't remember I don't know what it was. I wasn't saying the school name, and I kept using the abbreviated word that like.
But you could have just said like kono gakko.
I know, but I didn't want to mess up the names. I was so nervous already. And I had like the gakubu names, the gakka names. I was like, y'all got too much, too much. So I literally kept avoiding saying the name, and then like literally the lady was like, say, can you just like say the name of the school, like because we want to know that you're applying here, that you know where you are. I was like, oh yeah, she stopped me in my tracks. And I was like, oh, and the minute that I was like stopped in the middle of my train of thought, trying to say line by line of what I practiced with my teacher, because I was already extremely nervous.
Yeah.
They were just like, you're giving us weird vibes. And I felt that. And I like felt like I was watching myself, like out of body experience, like looking at myself. I was like, girl, you messing up already. I was like, no, but like, we can do this. It's okay.
Yeah.
So we can continue. And then they're like, oh, why do you want to be a stylist? I just screamed in the mic. But like, that was the moment I said, I don't think this is gonna happen. So what had happened was that the reason why I want to become a stylist is because, first of all, I've always wanted to work in something artistic,
right.
And I've gone back and forth in jobs, like things that I possibly want to do in the future. But then, like, the main thing was that I really had a deep love for fashion, but everyone goes straight to like fashion design,
right.
And I just realized it's just not for me. Like, I don't want to do it.
Right.
And what made me fall in love with styling was like, I think just seeing the way people dress in Japan, and then also just that it wasn't fashion design, and that I got to do everything clothing related, and also like expand on like the creative direction part of like making photos and like music videos and like movies and all that really fun stuff, you know, so creating stories around clothing. So now I had practiced this with my teacher on how to word it, even with you. And so I get there, and literally I was like, this is literally word for word I said, because I'm thinking I have to translate in English to Japanese to try to explain myself. So I'm literally like, like 小さい頃からファッションに興味があって、でもそのlike 服を作ることにあんまり興味がなくて, and they immediately were like, what the frick? You have no interest in making clothes?
Yeah, because so what you said is, in Japanese, is you're like, oh, like I've been interested in fashion since I was a kid, but I'm not interested in making clothes. Right.
And immediately their face was like, you have no interest in making clothes? They literally said that. They were like, maybe like, do you know that like for 2 years you're going to be making clothes? And I was like, yeah. Like in my head, I was like, girl, like I wasn't even finished. Like I'm not done. Like what I meant was I didn't have an interest in making clothes, but I had an interest in the styling, the putting together. And they're like, do you know that this is like a really good skill that you should have as a stylist? That like if people are like, I'm a stylist and I also make clothes versus I'm a stylist and I don't make clothes, they'll want to take you who can make clothes because you're more, you know what I mean? You have more of a variety of skill sets.
Right.
And I was like, I know this, and they were saying this, but I just couldn't be like,すいません、言い間違えました。You know what I mean? Like I couldn't say that, right? I was just like, oh shit, I don't know.
Yeah, you were like in your head at that point.
Exactly.
Right?
And I was just like, they're like, are you sure? Like, do you understand what we're saying? Are you gonna be okay for making clothes for 2 years? It's like, hi. And I just sat there and I was like, girl, you know you meant more. But they're like, okay. They're like, okay, so what do you do for like a job? And I told them, I was like, yeah, I'm a babysitter and I also teach English. And they're like, okay, cool. So how did you find out about this school? And actually, this is when I mentioned, like, I was like, oh, my sister actually went to, and they like lit up. That was the one time they lit up. They're like, oh, her sister went to Bunka. But after that, they're like, okay, well, that's all we got for you. Bye. And I was like,
wow, really?
Yeah. So they asked me, like, they didn't even get deep. They just asked like 3 questions. And the minute I walked out, I said, yeah, that was not it. That was really
for them. I think the part where you said that you were not interested in making clothes was it for them, because the truth is that Bunka as an institution, all they believe in is teaching people how to make clothes. And this is something a lot of people don't know. Like I know people who like want to study like fashion business, fashion styling. Those people still learn how to make clothes. They don't give a damn. They don't care what it is that you're doing in the fashion industry. Though. I think fashion business not so much, but I think maybe like for styling for sure. Even people who do like the makeup styling or makeup whatever course or even the modeling course too, I'm pretty sure they have like it's mandatory within the curriculum to take like clothing making classes. So even me too, like I was a textile design major and we still had clothing making classes where you had to learn how to make clothes from scratch. And the thing is like the truth of the matter is not everybody's going to be making clothes. Like even I know in my class there were tons of people who were just interested in making textiles. They didn't give a damn about clothing. They were like, in the future, I'm probably going to become an interior designer or like, you know, I'm going to work in something related to fabrics that isn't really necessarily clothing per se. Yeah, but they didn't care. They were like, you're going to learn how to make clothes. This is what this institution is known for. And I feel like that's kind of what gave Bunka its reputation because like the way that they teach people how to make clothes is very rigorous. Like they're very like particular about the skill sets that you need to become whatever it is that you want to be in the industry. And their biggest thing is like learning how to make clothes, which the truth is I'm not going to sit here and be like making clothes is like a skill that's not going to get you anywhere, because the truth is it's a great skill to have. Like you'll always be able to know how to fix your clothing in your closet, even if you don't become like a head designer or whatever. And like knowing how patterns work will give you an understanding of how clothes like work internally. So it is a good skill to have, but I do understand where you're coming from, where you're saying like as a stylist, like I never really cared about becoming a designer necessarily, like making my own clothes. Like that wasn't my main interest. And it's sad that, again, like I said, like this was just a language barrier moment. This was just like a language barrier issue, you know?
Yeah. But you did tell me this one thing. You were like, I mean, if you said it, then that you kind of low-key meant it. And I really thought about it, and I was like, I mean, I was willing to tough it out for 2 years. And it's not that I don't have an interest, it's that it's not what I immediately gravitate towards.
Right.
It would be great to learn. Of course, it's an extra skill set that's not a bad thing to have. Yeah. But if I said it, then I also did mean, and it's true.
And I'm
not interested.
Yeah, you would have spent 4 years learning how to make
exactly
clothes, which is something that you're not interested in. You know what I mean? So like even that in and of itself is already like very telling of how strict they are, because they literally only care about teaching people how to make clothes. Yeah. And even I know that there's probably other schools out there where if you took a stylist course, you would learn how to style clothes together. You would learn maybe color theory. You'd focus on like pairing fabrics together, that kind of stuff. They wouldn't really put that much of an emphasis on clothing making. Even I know like probably the styling course in the college, you still have to learn how to make clothes, obviously, and you only really get to the styling part until like I think the third year. Like the first 2 years you focus on making clothes like every other Bunka student does, you know. So it's kind of weird, like when you think about it, that like technically like the university being so strict on teaching people how to make clothes, it almost feels like, why? Because it's like your university. Like, isn't it supposed to be theory?
Right.
You know, it's not really supposed to be like practical, like let's all sit at the sewing machine and learn how to like, you know, make patterns and things. But that's just Bunka for you.
Yeah.
That's and how they are.
And I do think that like Bunka having this long history of just like amazing fashion history in Japan, they like all of you will have our seal, which is clothing making, and our strict curriculum. And it's like,
okay, alrighty. You say so, I guess. You know, okay, alright.
Yeah. And I think that like honestly, if I could do it all over again, I probably wouldn't hyper focus so much on Bunka, but also like expanded and looked at other schools across Japan. There are so many different kinds of schools all over Japan that can cater to your needs. And I think that there's this like fear of like, it has to be Tokyo so that I can, you know, make TikToks about it. It's like, girl, no.
Yeah, you could live in the boonies and go to a great fashion
school and still have a great life.
And still move to Tokyo when you graduate and get a fun job.
Matter of factly, the tuition will probably be significantly cheaper.
Yeah.
Your rent would be so much cheaper. Everything would be better, you know? I don't know. And I think I also like a huge part of why I wanted to get into Bunka was because I had this thing in my mind. You know, I'm a perfectionist. I had this thing where it's like it had to be like, we needed to be the Bunka sisters. We needed to make content. Like, we both got in, you know? No, really though. You know, like we're super like pira and Nihongo, you know what I mean? Like are just like we're it. But I do think that definitely fed into it. And like I don't know, I think that coming from our family, like we're like such like a family that like pushes like greatness, success. So I was like, girl, I'm a grind. And if you ask anyone, I really was on my grind. Like I was really like, I was studying, like I was doing what I needed to do. And then honestly, the closer and closer that I got to the day of the test, losing sleep, like
you're sleeping like
mental
1
turmoil,
dude. Like every day.
It was terrible. Losing sleep, mental turmoil. Like I had several breakdowns in front of my teachers. The day before, I had like 2-3 good cries. The morning of, I woke up, I was a mess. No, honestly, I was just a mess. And like
holding on by thread.
I really was, and like it was just not fun. And it got to the point where like the closer and closer we got, I was like, I just want to rip the band-aid off. Like I don't even care anymore. And here we are. We've got evidence.
Wait,
not the Jew show.
Yeah, we can't show your address, but please show us the letter. Let's see what it says.
Let's put my Japanese to the test. 本学入学選択選奨の結果 I don't read the kanji に残念ながら不合格となりましたことを通知いたします
Lovely.
I think I read that right. I don't know.
Neema and I have a joke going that this needs to be framed somewhere. You guys probably can't even read it. Does it have our address on it? No, it doesn't. Okay, here you go. For those of you guys watching, you guys can see it in person. But this lovely letter will be framed somewhere because I think this is the beginning of a great life for you.
Yeah, it began like a lot of revenge. Like I was just like, you know what? Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that right after that, you know, it's just been the year of just failing and loving it. Yeah. Because I also failed the JLPT and I was like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I did too. But you know what? I feel like it's okay because a lot of people, this is the thing. I'll give you guys a little pro tip. A lot of you guys will put in all your eggs in one basket. And the thing is, when it comes to the JLPT, you need to take it several times. When I tell you that for me to pass the JLPT N2 back in, what was it, like 2017 when I took it, I had already taken it 3 times. This was my 3rd time taking it, and that's when I passed. And even then, I had taken it, I think, like 2 other times extra for their rehearsals, because they do these like rehearsal, like mogi shiken is what they call them, like rehearsal tests, where they let like Japanese
mock
language
exam
school,
is the correct term.
Oh right, yeah, there we go, mock exam. They do like mock exams where they let Japanese language school students like take the test in advance so that they can practice the you know, the way that they do it, like the system, and the people who are going to be working on the day of can actually practice like the run through and all that. And I did that twice as well. So in addition, I had done it at this point 5 times. This is the 5th time that I had taken it. The first 2 times were JLPT N3, and I failed both of those because I was not ready. And then I had taken 2 practice exams for the JLPT N2, and then I took the N2.
Right.
So by the time I was taking it, I was ready. And so when I see people who are like, oh, I tried JLPT and everything, I'm just like, you need to take it several times. Exactly. And even for me, I knew, like, because I did the N1 this time around. This was like last year, and when was it? December? Is it that we did it? No. Right. It wasn't December. Yeah, right, because we got the results in February. Right. So I did it in December, the N1. I didn't pass, and I was like, you know what? It's okay, because this is my practice round for the N1. When I take it again, I'll know what to expect.
Also, N1 is it's trash.
Yeah, it's just like
it's just a flex.
Yeah, it is.
It's not used for anything.
Yeah, I just felt like, oh, I've been in Japan for a few years now. Like, I should probably aim for it. But like, the truth is, even if I don't have it, like, I'm not losing sleep over it. And I knew, like, now I'm going to an American university, you know, like, I'm studying in English. Like, I don't need the N1 at all, like, not even for my job either, like, you know what I mean? Like, when I go to my modeling shoots, I'm not like, oh, N1 motemasu. Like, they don't give a damn. You know what I mean? So like, I just wanted it for myself. And I think that's another thing too. You need to do it, like, take it at a time where you're not ready for it, but you just take it for the sake of knowing what the experience is like, so that you can calm yourself down.
That is true.
And so that when you take it a second time, you know what to expect, and like, you know what kind of preparation you need to do for the test as well, you know? So that's my, you know, extra tidbit for those of you who will take the JLPT.
But yeah, at the end of the day, honestly, all of these like grand institution names that go on a certificate, or just like a score that you get on a language proficiency test, like, all of these things really don't matter. And I really realized that I was placing my value on it. And it just doesn't matter. It really doesn't, because it doesn't speak to like the kind of person that you are, or the kind of future that you have.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Like, it doesn't mean that you can't still reach your goals. There's tons of different like routes to get to the same place. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, you don't have to go to Bunka to become a stylist. You don't even have to go to Bunka to become a designer even. Like, you could literally go to some small little, you know, corner store, you know, fashion school that has like 3 students and become the best designer Japan has ever known in their entire like existence. And like, people don't understand that, and they really attach their worth to, I need to go to the top school in the country. And that's why when I see people message me, or, you know, watch my channel and go, oh, my dream is to go to Bunka too, I'm like, that's great, but like, also look into other schools. Look into other schools, look into other places you can go. You don't even have to go to a fashion college. You can go anywhere else.
There's so many places.
Study art, study like, you know, you could take like, what is it, liberal arts programs at different universities and still learn different skills.
English, hello.
Yeah, and you could still end up getting a job working for like a really cool, like, I don't know, fashion house or something, and like, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many different ways to like get to the same thing. I know like there's some of you guys who really are serious about like learning how to sew, and you really do want to like make your own brands and like learn how to like make patterns and that kind of stuff, and that's great. Like, yeah, sure, go ahead and put in your application into Bunka. But the truth is, like, when you come here, you really should be applying to different schools. Like, you shouldn't just put all of your eggs into basket. Because you imagine if you did that with Bunka?
I know, luckily I didn't.
You were smart enough to apply to a different
2 others.
Exactly. And like, even if you didn't get into Bunka, you knew no matter what that you were still going to stay in Japan and be able to like study at a different school. And like, that's something that I know a lot of people don't even think about. They're just like, Bunka or
but
bust.
Honestly, I was more like, Bunka or bust, because, and it was, again, my Japanese language student, my Tanino sensei, who was like, you need 2 other options at least. And I was like, okay, whatever you say. Because I remember my thing was that I'm confident because my sister has gone through it, and she told me that it's really no big of a deal. Because you told me dude, what did he do?
Oh yeah, he did his, so basically when you apply for Bunka, you're supposed to do like an entrance exam, and you're also supposed to do an interview. And this guy, like, I mean, barely did his interview in like understandable Japanese, and then he wrote his entrance exam completely in hiragana, like not a single kanji. He just wrote the whole thing in
that's
only
like
one
elementary school.
Yeah, that's like writing like your entrance exam with your left hand.
Yeah.
Like
well, there are people who are left-handed.
Yeah, but I mean like if your dominant hand is your right hand and you write it with your left hand, like that's like how like ABC 1 2 3 it is to do like
and he still got accepted. Yeah. But I think what we need to also take into account is that there is such a thing as also as privilege.
Yes.
Because if you're already in a category of your own, like for example, I know that for a fact that I was in a category of my own because I'm black and I'm Canadian.
Right.
And trying to apply to
they're already doubting you.
They're already doubting me. But if I was Chinese, for instance,
right,
that's a different story.
It's true. And guess what? That's why a lot of Chinese people get in.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's not to come for Chinese people. Y'all are great. I have a million Chinese friends. I love them.
Oh, SENA, don't say that.
No, it's true, because I think people need to understand this is not me being like picky or like racist or like, oh, Chinese people, they all no. It's none of that. This is like facts.
Yeah, it is. No, like
you can go on the Bunka website and see the percentage of Chinese students.
There's always a lot.
They are the top number of
like
students who go to Bunka, and there's a reason for that. And the truth is, like, when they take the JLPT, they pass with flying colors. Why? Because they already know kanji. Or like when they like do the entrance exam, even if they don't speak fluent Japanese, the fact that they can understand what's being told to them to a certain degree, or that they can like figure things out based on what's said in the kanji and stuff like that, that gives them a massive advantage.
It does.
So if you're not from a country that uses Chinese characters in any way, shape, or form, guess what? Unfortunately, you are at a disadvantage. That's something you need to be aware of.
It's also just, it comes down to like experience that the school has dealing with the issues that Chinese students would have, for instance, like, because they are still foreign students,
right? So
like language barrier, maybe they already know that there's a lot of language barrier issues, so they'll hire someone who speaks Chinese or speaks Mandarin rather.
And that's Bunka's,
and like preparation. You see what I'm saying? Whereas like for me, it's like, girl, excuse you, and you trying to come in here? No.
The lady who was in charge of visas at Bunka, who like literally just swished me off, was like a woman who only spoke Japanese and Chinese. And so of course, when the Chinese students would come be like, oh, I have visa issues, she'd be like, oh yes, of course, let me help you out. I mean, not that I can understand Chinese by any way, shape, or form, but like you could tell that she would give them like tons of attention, and they would get all their questions asked. And then when I would show up speaking Japanese to her, she would just kind of be like, well, I don't really know how to help you. Like you like figure it out. And I was like, oh, okay.
And again, it's because let's be real. Bunka is a Japanese university. They're looking to cater towards their
Japanese people. Yes, exactly. And that's why the person who they hire for visa stuff is Chinese, because there's more Chinese students than anything else.
Right.
So it's kind of like, okay, if you're
supply demand.
Exactly. And that's also why I have a feeling that like there's so few people who come from the West who go to Bunka.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. It's very like,
what is it?
It's because of this. Because like they're like Bunka is such a traditional Japanese school that they cater to more Asian students than they do Western students.
Right.
And that's why honestly, like if you guys have seen my channel, like I was on their pamphlet for Bunka, diversity,
and they kick you to the curb.
Oh yeah, they kicked me to the curb. I graduated, but they loved using me for like diversity promo because there was so
no shade, no tea, Bunka, but
no shade, no tea, but it was true. Like you guys were using, they were using me for diversity
that
promotion.
Diversity,
and I should have gotten free tuition for that. But anyway,
honestly,
but yeah, no, like honestly, like the truth is,
am I salty? I don't know.
Maybe, maybe a little, yeah. But no, I knew that was the case, and I knew that like there was no other black students they could like call upon to like.
Wait, didn't you see a black guy at some point? Like,
yeah, but he went to the Japanese or the Bunka's language school.
Oh, that's different.
And there was another black girl who went to Bunka's university, but she was doing her master's program, and I'm pretty sure she was doing it in English. I don't think she was studying in Japanese. You can do your master's, yeah. You can do your master's
in English?
Yeah, they have one specific course that you can do, or like one specific like major that you can study that's completely in English, but you need to like reach out to the professor to be able to even begin the application process. And it's like this super complicated thing. I looked into it at some point and I was like, oh, this is not for me.
That's the thing. The minute it gets complicated, they try to root out as many people as
possible. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like not even one of those like you can just apply for it. It's like you have to reach out to the professor. You need to like explain to them your situation, give them your whole educational background, and then once you've gone through like that whole process and the teacher says they're willing to like take you on, then you can start the application. And like because it's in English, it's like a whole separate thing. Like it's not with the other Japanese students. And so when I heard about that, I was like, damn, like this is so exclusive. And I think they make it like that because
on purpose.
Exactly. They don't want everybody to have access to it, because the truth is, if you don't know the email to reach out to the professor, if you can't go to school in person to Bunka and be like, hey, I'm interested in the English majors program, then how the heck are you going to get all that information? You won't. That's just the truth of the matter. And like I kept on thinking about that to myself too. I was like, dude, like these programs exist, but like who the heck knows about them? Like who's getting this information? And guess what? It's people who already studied at Bunka, like people who graduated from Bunka's university, or people who went to maybe Bunka's college but already have like what is it, like bachelor's degree from other university. But like you have to physically be in Japan to know about this stuff.
Like even you, when you were talking about transferring from the college to the university. You only got that insider information from the people there.
Because I considered it for a hot minute. I was like, okay, well, maybe when I graduate from fashion college, like I want to get that extra 2 years that I can spend so that I can get a diploma, or so that I can get a degree at the end of it instead of just a diploma.
Right.
And not that there's anything wrong with the diploma. It's just like for me, that's not what I wanted. I wanted like the chance to have more options.
Degree.
Yeah, for jobs and stuff. And so like they were just like, oh well, if you do that, you have to go back to your home country for like 6 months and for a year actually, because I remember this was like in April that I was asking these questions, and they're like, well, you missed the application deadline to transfer to the university, so you're gonna have to go back to Canada for a year and then like do the application process from abroad. I'm like, how the heck am I gonna do the exam? They're like, well, that's none of our concern. I'm like, are you guys for real right now?
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy to me that they're so blasé, and they're like, well, just figure it out on your own. And I'm like, do you understand that like this doesn't even work from what you're trying to explain to me? Like, you want me to go back to my home country, but you also want me to take the exam and do the interview from where? Plus, this is COVID. It's not like I can just take a flight over, come as a tourist, and then like spend 3 months here and then like, do all that stuff. Like, if I could, yeah, sure, maybe I would have gone with that option, but like I couldn't,
Yeah.
And the fact they just looked at me and went, well, too bad, so sad. Like, wow, okay. That made me be like, okay, Bunka.
No, you really need to look into your options, because I remember we were having a conversation with our friend Yo-Yo, and she was just like, oh, like you guys don't even have like a foreign student department.
They do, but it's like literally one Japanese lady and the Chinese lady.
That's not a department.
I know.
That it takes somebody just told to do the job.
Yeah,
true.
And
even like she was saying how like now, like, not to give too many details, but like, like still in contact with her school, because
oh, true.
And like they're still helping her out
with their visa.
Just like, excuse me.
Bunka's like Bunka's like, after March, we don't give a crap about you. Get the hell out of here. We don't know who the hell you are. Like, you're in the pamphlet, didn't know about it. You're on the website,
don't care.
Give a crap. Yeah, you've done tons of promo for the school. We don't know about that. Sorry. Like, be on your merry way and don't let the door hit you on the way out.
I was like, wow. And I didn't realize how like I was just like so hyper focused on Bunka that I was watching all of your videos. I remember I would have questions like, watch my video.
Yeah.
And I would watch your videos, and I was just like, so like this is it. This is all. So I was preparing myself for that turmoil too, because I was like, I'll have to go through it. It's okay. I'm gonna toughen up. I need to be here, you know?
Right.
And then hearing about how someone has it so easy, I said, oh, you could do that?
Yeah.
I can have a smooth sailing experience and not feel like so like every day I'm gonna explode, and like, you know what I mean?
And you know what the key is that when you go to a smaller school, that's the experience you get. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. They're like, oh, Bunka, I love Bunka, I need to go to Bunka. And I'm like, do you understand that Bunka is a massive institution that's been around for like, I think they're touching 100 years now. Actually, I think their 100-year anniversary is 2023. Yeah, that's their 100-year anniversary.
Damn.
And literally, when I tell you that these people still act like it's 1923,
They act like it's 1923.
They act like it's 100 years ago, and they have on purpose, because they pride themselves on being like this old institution.
It's like, girl, please.
And it's like, girl, you don't even understand that like you're cutting some of us off at the knees, like literally.
They don't care.
They don't even know.
Can we also talk about how the performance culture in Bunka? Can we please touch on that?
Yeah, like what?
So I'm gonna interview you now.
Okay, go ahead. So
what was that like? Because so the few times that I had to go to get like the forms to like fill out the application forms, I would see these people like, and the thing is that you guys are like a whole congregation of people. Like, do you believe in Bunka? It's like, I do.
Dude, no, that's true. Okay, wait, can I talk about this? This is like real Bunka tea. People don't understand that like Bunka, they treat themselves like they're their own country. So there's like a Bunka national anthem.
What?
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, every school has that.
Every school has it's a Japanese thing, but it still freaked me out as a gaijin. I was like, what in God's name? Like literally everybody, I remember at the entrance ceremony, everyone like stood up and all the senseis are like singing the anthem.
No way. Every day?
Yeah. No. They only did it like at the
beginning.
But when you were first years, they were like, everybody, you have to memorize the anthem. And I'm like, why? I'm like, when are we gonna sing it? Like, no. And so like, they have the national anthem, or their Bunka anthem, and then they also have like, what's it called? These like trips that you have to do. So when you first become a Bunka student, you go to the entrance ceremony, and then you get, you find out about your classes, and you start like learning about your teachers and blah, blah, blah. And then like within like the second week, I think, you have to like do this thing where basically you go off for like 3 or 4 days to like the boonies.
Yeah, with your classmates.
Yeah,
right?
with your classmates and with people from different departments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so in total it's like a really large number of students, like a couple hundred students, and they do it in like waves or whatever, right? Like depending on which department you're in. So for us, yeah, we had this trip we had to do, and this trip is basically like the initiation process to Bunka, which by the way, thank God that because of like COVID they don't do it anymore.
Okay.
Which I'm just like, I hope it stays that way because it is too much.
Really?
It's so old.
What'd you guys do? Like I remember you had to like make curry or something
yeah,
together.
Yeah. So like basically because they try to treat it like a bonding opportunity, like they try, because Bunka basically they treat themselves like they're this like elite, like, you know, network of students who like interact with each other, whatever. And yeah, you know what, the truth is they really are, because like it's kind of culty sometimes. It's scary. Anyway, so basically like, yeah, you arrive and then like you have to spend like a few days like out in the woods with like these students, and you're sleeping in these like crusty dorms on like the floor tatami system, whatever. And then like you get grouped up into these like groups, and then they send you off to do like tasks. And like I'm talking about not even fashion related tasks. Like basically everybody wakes up, you go to like the cafeteria, you sit down, you like eat breakfast, and of course they make everybody go like itadakimasu, like if we're like in shogakko, like we're literally elementary school students. And then I know it's like Japanese culture. It is, which is nice.
We love Japanese culture. Please don't get it twisted.
Yeah, don't get it twisted. We do love Japanese culture, but it's also like we're not children. You know what I mean? Like why is it that they're doing this like initiation, like, you know, like I don't know, I just didn't like it.
You felt like it was very shogakko.
Yeah, I felt it was a little elementary, because I'm like, if it was like fashion stuff that we were doing, how fun would that be? You know, like if it's like style your friends, or like
that would be cool,
right? Or like some kind of challenge where like you something with scrap fabric, like something like you know, what's that TV show, the one
Project Runway?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that would have been so fun. But no, they literally were just like, go out in the boonies, eat food with strangers, sit at the cafeteria table, go swat some bugs as you walk around the forest. And literally, I kid you not, they would give us missions like, okay, you have to go find these checkpoints in the woods in your group of friends, and then come back by like 30 minutes from now or something. And they'd be like, the team that doesn't find the checkpoints, you'll have like a punishment. And so like, yeah, like literally like that, like so old school.
Right.
And then like they would do like stuff like that. And then what else did they make us? Oh yeah, and then they made us do like this bonfire, like campfire. I was like, is this a cult that I'm joining? Like, what is going on? Like, it was so creepy. And then yeah, they would break us off in groups and be like, okay, this is your lunch group or your dinner group. Like, everybody, here are some ingredients to like make curry. Go cut off some vegetables and like roast them in the fire. And it's just like, why are we doing this?
Yeah,
I
felt that a
so
lot
culty.
Because when I went to go pick up my 2 like application forms, girl, I was the first time I came underdressed. I said, oh, you people are like this. I came around like lunchtime, I think, both times, and like people were walking around. When I tell you, you know, like people are walking around and it's just, you're overwhelmed. Yeah. You know, and even outside, like you can see people coming and you're like,
and they're all smoking their ciggies.
Yeah, like it's
Bunka
really
had to
like
ban the cigarette sections. Yeah, like I think because there was some rule after 2020, but like it was terrible before. Like,
really?
Yeah, they like all the little smoky smokersons, they would get together in their little corner and they would smoke ciggies and not utter a word to each other. I'm like, are you guys even friends? Like,
no, it's just for the vibes. It's just for the aesthetics.
Yeah. And they just would sit there with their little ciggies and, you know, flexing their little, you know.
But let me tell you, the second time I came, I said, listen, I'm going to Bunka. I need to look good. Guard. And of course I need to look good. So I like dressed up, you know. I dressed up, and I dressed like a little bit extra than I would, because again, it is really performance-y, you know. And it's very like flex and show people, and a lot of these kids would be using mommy and daddy's money to be buying their outfits.
People even take out loans.
Exactly.
Let's talk about that.
Loans
I'm
for
talking
outfits.
about, go to the bank, say, can I please borrow $2,000 to buy me you know, Yoji Yamamoto's new hottest, I don't even know, what does he make? Shirts? Pants?
I don't know.
Dresses? I don't know. Whatever it is.
But yeah, so I came dressed, you know, in my thrifted outfits, because I am a, you know, broke Canadian black girl living in Japan. So I'm like going, and I kid you not, like at some point I got lost, because like I went through like some back route to come in, and there was this group of guys who were like dressed really like very nice, and they were very attractive, and I had my AirPods in, and I was walking, and I was like still so lost, and they were like all looking at me, because you know they like looking at black people. I just noticed it's a thing here. Okay, yeah. So I was like, okay, you can look at me if you want. Like I'm looking cute today. I can't prepare.
You're giving the little put your hair behind the ear.
I did that. So I passed around them like twice, and I looked so dumb. And then at some point I passed by them again, and I dropped my AirPod, and they all looked at me. I just picked it up and put it back. And I was like, I literally don't know where I'm going. Anyways, long story short, I got my things, but I just felt so intimidated, because I was like, already I'm struggling language barrier. Like my armpits are sweating. My outfit's cute, but I'm sweating, and like I'm trying to communicate. And they're like, "Are you good? Like, do you understand what this says?" And I'm like, I just need just some help.
Yeah, I feel like Bunka's known for that. Bunka's known for being very like everybody looks intimidating. Yeah, and I remember of course for me, like after a certain point studying there, it's like I literally couldn't give a crap. Like I know that you guys like borrow money to be able to like buy your little designer goods, and like 89.9% of you guys like spend 3 hours on your outfits and show up to class late and like don't even get good grades. It's like, you know what I mean?
Did you tell me that a lot of them do drop out anyways?
Oh yeah, tons of people. Let me tell you, the dropout rate for Bunka is crazy, dude. Because a lot of people think like, oh, I'm gonna go to Bunka and it's gonna be a fashion show every day, and they think that all you gotta do to get good grades is show up to class looking like $1 million,
right?
And they don't understand that like the classes actually take a lot of work, and you have to like stay after school for a lot of days, and like, you know, be able to like you can't come to school and just think it's gonna be like 9 to 5, get out of class, go, you know, get some drinks with your friends in Shinjuku, and then get good grades. Like, no, you need to put in the work, put in the hours,
and take what's ours.
Exactly. You need to like stay after school some days. You need to like get your assignments done, sit down in the library, go to the cafeteria, spread your pattern on the 3 tables that you can fit it, because, you know, there's no space in your classroom or whatever. And like, I've heard that in different departments, they even have like time limits where like when it gets to like 9 o'clock, they'll shut the lights off and stuff.
Wait, why?
Because they don't want kids to stay until past that. But for me, luckily, we had a very small department, and our building was separate from like the main like building on the campus. So like we could stay for as long as our teachers wanted us to stay or were willing to stay. So if the teacher was like, I have an appointment at 6:30 because I got to go take care of my kid, you could only stay at school until 6:30. Or if you wanted to go to the library, like if you didn't get a seat or whatever, then you're screwed. Like you had to take your pattern home. And most of the times you don't have space. Like you don't have a swing machine at home, you don't have space for your patterns, you can't lay them out on the floor unless you really want to. Like, I mean, good luck, you know, in your whatever small like shoebox size apartment, whatever.
Right.
So it's kind of like, okay, like the struggle is real. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of people don't understand that, and that's why when I see them be like Bunka, 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 I'm so excited for Bunka. I'm like, I don't think you understand that the dropout rate is insane for a reason. Like people start off with like 60 people classes, and they drop all the way to 20.
They never show that. They never say that. Like it's not anywhere. It's not. You know, you don't see that anywhere, so it's just, you never know.
And I think Bunka for me was such a learning experience, because I also saw people who were way more passionate than me, way more talented than me. Oof. Yeah, that's a real thing a lot of people don't like to admit, but there's people who are super talented and who really like 100% really want it. You know what I mean? And I realized for me that I loved textile design. I loved like learning about fashion, and I loved everything about it, but I wasn't like super passionate about it as a lot of other people were. And it's not to say that like come to class and make sure to compare yourself to everyone. No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is like you have to be very aware of like your skill sets and how much passion you really have for it. Right. Because there's some people, I know my class, the amount of people who graduated and became textile designers, it's like not even a handful. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And everyone else went into kind of different disciplines that were maybe related to fashion, maybe not. But it happens that a lot of people, and like Bunka is actually very particular. They actually record everybody, like what they do after graduation. Yeah.
No way. Did they ask you?
They did. And of course, for me, I looked good on paper because I got this like fashion job at this small like suits company. Oh. Remember? But then of course I quit that job because I hated it. And it ended up being terrible. But they had on paper that I went to this suits company, and they tell everybody that. Yeah. They're like, she went to this prestigious company for suits, and it's like, yeah, but I didn't stay there. Yeah. And I ended up going to university.
And they don't care to follow up.
And they don't care to follow up. Of course not. They don't give a crap. That's something a lot of people need to realize is like, it's not all roses and fairies and daisies. And also Bunka is very performative. I agree with you. Yeah. 1000%. But anyways.
I think we should end it with tips.
Yes.
On if you really want to go to Bunka, that's fine. If you want to try, that's also okay too. Yeah. What tips can we give from the failed and the successful perspective?
From me, I think I can just give the tip of like, go apply to different schools. And don't put all of your eggs into Bunka, because it's not the only place in the world that you can study fashion and become successful. And also ask yourself why it is that you want to really study fashion. Because you might end up graduating and realizing that the fashion industry is not for you. Okay.
And don't graduate and be depressed. Like, we don't need a degree with a side of depression.
Yeah, no.
And heartache. Yeah. Don't do that. No. It's really not that worth it. No. I think I would just say like examine the reasons why. You already said it. Like examine the real reasons why you want to go to Bunka, because I only realized that after I got rejected. Oh, the real reason was because I was looking to be validated. I was trying to complete a perfect picture. Oops, I accidentally created a false reality. Exactly. You know? Yep. That kind of thing. Yep. So on that note,
I think we can come to a close.
Yeah. It's been great.
It has been great.
And can I just say something?
Yes.
I really appreciated you being there when I was going through the whole rejection thing. Because, like, it was really hard. And I was just like, what do I tell everyone? Right. And you were just like, it's fine. It's okay. And I remember you were even, like looking into, helping me look into other options. And I was just like, I'm done. My life is over, you know? And you're like, no. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you too. I appreciate your resilience. I think you really bounced back, like, a lot quicker than I think the average person would. And that's because you kind of had all this mental, gymnastics that you were kind of going through.
I was over it.
Yeah, before and after,
Mm-hmm.
But I'm proud of you. And
to
all of you guys out there who are applying to
Ganbatte
Bunka,
ne.
yeah, ganbatte. Demo, stay realistic.
Yes. Yes.
And look at other options. That's the main takeaway.
Yeah.
So for you YouTube people, let us know in the comments below why it is that you want to study fashion in Japan, or why it is that you want to go to Bunka. And on that note, we will close.
See you later.
Thank you very much for
Mata ne.
listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.